I've been a fan of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse ever since it came out, but I always thought films like Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man No Way Home were better. But on this most recent viewing, getting ready for Across the Spider-Verse, I realized that this is the best Spider-Man movie, hell, maybe even the best Marvel movie ever made. And I'm here to explain why I think that. The first thing I want to talk about is subversion. Subversive storytelling can go really well, like with Knives Out and how it turns out that our protagonist inadvertently caused the death, which subverts tropes of the murder mystery genre. It could also go really poorly, like with Palpatine coming back in The Rise of Skywalker. Spider-Verse is on the Knives Out side. I just want to say real quick, I'm not going to be talking about the comics in this video. I'm sure they have a lot more subversions than the films, but I haven't read any, so I'm just going to be talking about the other Spider-Man films. Spider-Verse is a lot more subversive than the other Spider-Man movies. First off, the most notable subversion? They kill Peter Parker. When I was first watching this movie, I was shocked that they actually killed Spider-Man in the first 30 minutes. This was so subversive because no other Spider-Man film has the balls to do this. Even No Way Home wouldn't kill off Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, even though they had the perfect opportunity to, and it would send his Spider-Man off on a high note. Spider-Verse does this to set up the stakes of this movie, which are really high. Miles Morales just got his spider powers, and Peter tells him that he needs Miles to turn off the super collider, otherwise everyone will die. But if Spider-Man, who's been Spider-Man for 10 years, couldn't do it, then how can a Spider-Man that has only been Spider-Man for 10 hours do it? This is where Peter B. Parker comes in. Peter B. is from a dimension where he's been Spider-Man for the past 27 years. Nothing is going right for him. He's divorced because he was scared of having kids, he's out of shape, and he's just sucked into a portal that took him to another dimension. Now, he has to train Miles and save the world. What I like about Peter B is that he's reluctant at first with Miles tagging along. He doesn't want the weight holding him down, but he eventually lets him come and help. The longer the film goes on, the more of a bond they form, which in my opinion is the real heart of this movie. I love these two characters, and the way they work off each other is fantastic. Peter B has been Spider-Man for so long, he points out all the tropes.
Watch this. He's gonna say, "You've got 24 hours.
You've got 24 hours.
What this means is there could be
In a lot of recent movies that retell a character's story, it feels like the creators hate the source material. But these jabs from Peter P don't feel like the creators hate these tropes. They're just poking a little fun at them. Also, they are just poking fun. They're not saying these tropes are stupid and then immediately after do the same trope that they were just making fun of, like a lot of movies nowadays. This happens throughout the entire movie, notably with the "let's do this one last time" scene, where they explain the new Spider-Man's backstory, and it's funny as hell. Speaking of which, this movie is funny as hell. Almost every joke they tell is hilarious, except for the "I just washed my hands" joke.
I just washed my hands. That's why they're wet. No other reason.
I still don't get it, and yes, I'm dumb. Let's change gears and talk about Uncle Aaron for a little bit. I love Uncle Aaron. He's so charming and is the reason why we have the shoulder touch.
That girl, we walk up to her and be like, "Hey."
Aaron is a subversion of the classic Uncle Ben story because Aaron is actually a part of Kingpin's army as the Prowler and is hunting down Miles. But when the Prowler finally has Miles and is about to kill him, Miles reveals that he's the Spider-Man that he's been chasing. Aaron, of course, doesn't kill him. This is really sweet, and I'm glad nothing bad happened. Aaron dies, and now Miles' dad thinks Spider-Man killed him since he saw Aaron's body with Spider-Man in the alley. As Spider Noir says, that's a pretty hardcore origin story. I'm glad we're starting to get more subversive takes on Uncle Ben. Like with Spider-Man No Way Home, it turns out Aunt May was actually Uncle Ben all along. Metaphorically, of course. Now, let's talk about the rest of the Spider people. Spider-Gwen is great and has a snarky personality that really works great off of Miles. Spider Noir is probably my favorite because he is played so seriously, but is still really funny. There's Penny Parker, who has a little arc of her own with her spider robot getting destroyed. Then there's Peter Porker, who is mainly a comic relief. But then they subvert that and make him say this.
Miles, the hardest thing about this job is you can't always save everybody.
Did the funny pig really just say that? This ties perfectly into my next point, which is in this very scene. All the spider people don't think that Miles is ready, so Peter B is planning to shut down the collider himself, which will kill him, since, as he says, his atoms aren't too jazzed about being in this different dimension. Miles says he's ready, then this happens.
Then Venom strike me right now. Or turn invisible on command so you can get past me.
It's so sad. Peter traps Miles in a chair, and it seems like Miles has given up. Then Miles' dad comes and has a talk with him. He just found Aaron dead, and he thinks Miles is giving him the silent treatment. But he pours his heart out through the door and talks about how he doesn't want them to drift apart, just like he did with his brother Aaron. This finally gives Miles the power to escape and try to prevent another person he loves from demise. Then there's the jump scene, where Miles finally...
Leap of faith.
Then the big showdown happens. But first, I have a question. Do you remember the lizard in Spider-Man No Way Home? No? You don't? What about Sandman? No? It's because they don't have any big moments, which makes me think, why are they in the film other than marketing? But with Spider-Verse, they have many different villains, and they all are memorable in some way. Except for Tombstone. They did Tombstone dirty. But I feel like that's alright, since in the marketing, they weren't like, holy shit, it's Tombstone. Even the characters who aren't in the movie for long, like the Green Goblin, are memorable because of the designs. The Scorpion has a great design and works off the heroes really well. Doc Ock is great, and the design is amazing. I also love her reveal, with her office having a lot of octagons all over the place, so of course it's Doc Ock. Then there's the Prowler, who I've talked a little bit about. I love the design and the music. Oh, the music, it's so good. And of course, there's Kingpin himself. When the movie first came out, I heard people didn't really like his design. He was too big. I completely disagree with them. I love it. He's super intimidating because he killed Spider-Man with a single punch, but also his size can be really funny. Just look at the family photo. But he also has a motivation that makes sense, why he both hates Spider-Man and why he wants to open a dimensional rift. One night, Spider-Man and him were fighting in his house, and his son and wife walked in. They were terrified of what he was doing to Spider-Man, so they got in the car and sped off. Then, they got into a car accident and they died. Kingpin wants to get them back, so he's going to run the collider so he can pull them from another dimension. Such a great motivation for a villain. Now, the final battle. Miles comes in and helps the other Spider people defeat all the villains, but Peter B still wants to shut down the collider himself. Miles won't let that happen, so he does the exact same thing Peter B did to him in the dorm room, but now he's dangling over the collider. Peter B reveals that he doesn't want to go back and make the same mistake again with MJ. He doesn't want to go back and everything just returned to him being depressed and alone. And Miles says this.
How do I know I'm not gonna mess it up again?
You won't.
Right. Hate to leap of faith.
That's just such a good callback, oh my god. Then, Miles lets go. Now, it's only Miles who stands in Kingpin's way. They fight, and eventually Miles is knocked down with the same punch Kingpin used to kill Peter. Miles sees his dad, and his dad starts yelling, "Come on, Spider-Man," even though he hates Spider-Man. This gives him the power to use the shoulder touch, defeating the man who killed his uncle with the thing that his uncle told him to use. So good, oh my god, it's so good. Kingpin is defeated, and everyone is saved. Okay, now I'm going to be talking about the animation. You know it's great. The colors just pop and the style is amazing. The set pieces and choreography are also amazing and are some of the most memorable action scenes of recent memory. There just really is no more to say about it. The last thing I want to talk about is the stuff I want to see in the second movie. I already know it's 2 hours and 20 minutes long, which is great, but I want them to focus on Miles and his family and not just the Spider people. I also want them to focus a little bit more on Miles and Gwen's relationship. The last thing I'm hoping for is that we get to see the same Spider people again. I swear if Spider Noir isn't in this movie, oof. But yeah, I hope it's great. Spider-Verse is a truly special movie that I'm glad it got the recognition it deserved. It is a subversive masterpiece that is both hilarious and heartbreaking. That is why I think Spider-Verse is the best Spider-Man movie and the best Marvel movie of all time. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe since I might be making a video on Across the Spider-Verse. See you next time.